Hey guys, this is Ray with PhoneArena doing a video review of the Samsung Galaxy Nexus, the third phone in the most prominent series of Android handsets. The Samsung Galaxy Nexus comes to succeed devices like the Nexus S by Samsung and the Nexus One by HTC, and both of those handsets were among the best Android phones for their time because they both featured refined design and they both introduced users to a new major version of the Android operating system. Now it seems that the story will repeat itself with the Galaxy Nexus, which comes with probably the most anticipated Android update ever, which is called Ice Cream Sandwich. But more on this a bit later. When looking at this device, it's immediately noticeable that it's one of the bigger handsets out there right now, and it can be otherwise because it features a very large 4.65-inch display, and with such a large screen you can have a handset that is compact. But we're happy to report that the Galaxy Nexus actually feels fine in the hand, and using it with one hand only feels relatively comfortable. One of the standout features that this device has is its screen. It is a 4.65-inch HD Super AMOLED screen, and HD of course means that its resolution is 720 by 1280 pixels, and this is very high resolution, and with a screen this big it translates into a pixel density of 316 ppi. This is quite high and guarantees that we can see some very fine, very crisp details. Even the smallest of text is easily legible on this display, and you can't even see a single pixel on it. Meanwhile, the Super AMOLED part means that the screen has very high contrast and very saturated colors, and when you couple this with its high resolution, it all makes for one incredible image quality coming from the screen of the Samsung Galaxy Nexus. Additionally, this display has some very good viewing angles, and when it comes to outdoor legibility, the screen is visible, so you'll be able to use your handset, but it won't be a very comfortable experience. You still have to shield your device from the sun in order to read text or do something else more comfortably. An interesting aspect of the design of the phone is that it actually has no keys on the front side, not even capacitive keys right here, because all of the navigational buttons typical to Android are now part of the interface. This is allowed by Ice Cream Sandwich. They're part of the screen like this. Now you may wonder what's the use in this besides looking cool, and well, the practical part is that this allows manufacturers to create phones with bigger screens without having to make the phone itself bigger. Now, for example, these keys, they disappear when you're watching video, allowing for an even larger real estate at the same phone size. Because otherwise, if they had to place those touch keys here below the screen like they used to, the display, all of this display will have to shrink a bit like this so that they can place those keys here. Well, right now there is not so much benefit in this because very few applications are optimized to use this kind of interface, to make those keys disappear here and to let them reappear when, for example, you're playing a game and you want to pause it. This is the moment when they should reappear, but we believe that with time developers will take advantage of this feature. And of course, we shouldn't forget that that curved glass on top of the display. Its practical use is actually minimal because this curve is very slight, and we don't really think that it makes holding the phone next to your head like this any more comfortable, but it's still a nice touch. Now let's take a close look around the device. On the left side we have the volume rocker. On the right side of the device we have the the power and lock and wake key. Here we have these three dots which are designed for use with a docking station, and on the bottom of the handset we have the micro USB port which doubles as an MHL port, and the standard 3.5mm headset jack. On the back side of the Galaxy Nexus we have a 5-megapixel camera with an LED flash, and this texture right here is called Hyperskin. According to Google and Samsung, it should make holding the phone a totally different experience. Well, we're not on the same opinion about this, but it still feels nice and provides for a decent grip. Our biggest drawback with the design of the Galaxy Nexus is its build quality. The materials that have been used are only plastic, which doesn't go well with such a premium device. For example, let me show you the back cover. It is incredibly thin piece of plastic, and thankfully it doesn't feel cheap. The handset as a whole doesn't feel cheap when you place its back cover like this, but it doesn't feel classy as well. The Samsung Galaxy Nexus comes with the ice cream sandwich operating system, which is also called Android 4. And the interesting thing about it is that it's actually based on Honeycomb, which used to be Google's tablet operating system for a while. And it's not based on Gingerbread, which was the latest version of their phone software. But this is actually a good thing, because Gingerbread was kind of bleak compared to what we have now with ice cream sandwich. And it's even better compared to what we had with Honeycomb, and probably for the first time ever, a stock Android device feels like a finished product. Honeycomb users will feel right at home with this device, while let's say Gingerbread users will have to go through a slight learning curve, but it will be very slight. Most of the fundamental concepts behind the platform are still the same. This is your home screen, and you have multiple pages here on which you can place shortcuts to your applications, create folders with shortcuts, and also you can place widgets like this calendar widget here, like this power control widget, or like this bookmark widget. The notification area has also been improved. You can now get rid of these notifications by swiping them to the side, and it's also slightly transparent, which is a little touch which make the experience a bit better. Now, since the navigational keys are part of the interface now, we'll check them out. First we have the back key here to the left. For example, if we're on the main menu, we just press the back key and we're back to the home screen. If we're on this page here, we just press on the home key and get back to the primary home screen. And the third button here is the multitasking key, which opens this visual kind of multitasking. These are all of our applications running here, and you can very quickly jump to each of those with only a press. And we're back in the gallery. Now let's check out the main menu. We tap here, and here we are. The menu is divided into these pages, and you can see these nice transitions here. Or for example, when you're at the last page, we have this nice 3D effect. The main menu is divided into two main tabs: the Apps tab, which is this one here, and the Widgets tab, where all of your widgets are. Let's quickly check out the People app. We open it like this, and as you can see, it is much more inviting than what we've had until now with Gingerbread or even Honeycomb. And when you open a contact, we see this nice large image here at the top and the contact details below. Google has redesigned the email and Gmail applications for work with email. Let's check out Gmail. This is our inbox here. You have your list of emails, and we actually think that it's a pretty straightforward app if you just want to quickly look through your emails with no unnecessary settings and options popping up here and there. But it's actually a pretty functional application. One drawback of the Gmail app here is that it doesn't support pinch zooming when viewing an email. And for example, when you receive a newsletter or something like this, you just can't examine it very comfortably. Typing with the on-screen QWERTY keyboards of the Samsung Galaxy Nexus is a very pleasant experience. The portrait keyboard is a very handy one. You can easily use it with one hand only, and the landscape option is probably one of the most comfortable on-screen keyboards that we have used. Thanks to the large 4.65-inch screen, the keys can be both nicely sized and well spaced out away from each other. Let's open the calendar application real quick here, because it's also been improved with additional gestures. And for example, now when we're in week view, like right now, we can use pinch zooming to reveal more information about the appointments that we've set. If we use it like this, and you see we now have more details about our appointment. Now, the web browsing experience on the Samsung Galaxy Nexus is really flawless. Scrolling performance with the handset is very fluid. You see there is absolutely no stuttering and no lag here. The same goes for pinch zooming like this, and you can also use double tap. Unfortunately, the handset does not support the flash plugin right now because it's not yet optimized for ice cream sandwich, but Adobe said that it will support this version of the platform. Let's check out how taps work with this web browser. We tap this key here, and here's our other tab. We can get rid of those by swiping to the side. Let's open the National Geographic and see the page loading times. This being an Android browser, it just has to load pages very quickly. We're used to that. And there it goes, the full National Geographic site loaded in a few seconds over Wi-Fi. The camera interface has also been improved. It has this much simpler interface. We have the digital zoom lever here, and this is where the settings are. We can set white balance, we can set the exposure or choose a scene mode. When in video mode, however, we can do a few more tricks, like the white balance again, and we also have these silly faces effects, like big eyes, big mouth and big nose, and we also have these interesting backgrounds. It's cool that ice cream sandwich comes with a panorama taking functionality built in. One drawback of the camera interface that we found is when you've taken a picture and you want to preview it. We of course tap on this preview key here, and what happens is that we get to this sharing screen where we have our sharing options here on the right, and to actually get to the preview of the picture we have to tap it again. And then it loads for another second, and the interesting thing is that we can share this picture from here as well. Here are all of those services again, and it just seems like that screen with the sharing options here that pops up before you actually get to your preview is kind of unneeded. The quality of the photos that we took with the Samsung Galaxy Nexus when outdoors during the day was pretty good. The images had accurate colors and were usually well exposed. However, it seems that the handset doesn't handle more dynamic scenes very well, which means that when there's more contrast, in your picture some objects will get overexposed. Meanwhile, detail is pretty good for a 5 megapixel camera. However, when moving indoors, the Galaxy Nexus does well when there is enough light. But when there isn't, the images get altered colors and lots of noise. Unfortunately, the LED flash is not strong enough to illuminate objects even at close distances. We were a bit underwhelmed by the quality of the 1080p video that we recorded with the Galaxy Nexus. It's actually a bit choppy with its frame rate of 24 frames per second, and colors are okay, but the detail level is pretty mediocre, and on top of that the whole video is somewhat jerky. The Samsung Galaxy Nexus comes with some image editing options built in. You just have to open your image, tap on this key here which reveals additional options, and choose Edit. Now we are in editing mode. When we have options like tweaking the shadows, the highlights and the fill light, we have effects like posterize, low-mo, documentary. Let's try this one. Here is our documentary image. We have we can tweak the colors like the saturation, the warmth of the colors. This won't work very well with our documentary photo. And last but not least, we have some options like crop, red eye removal to straighten and so on. So this is an area of some pretty useful, a very nice selection of tools which will definitely come in handy. The music player of the device is pretty straightforward but still appealing. This is our how we filter our content by artists, albums, songs and so on. Let's pick this one here and choose a song. Of course it displays album art covers. And what is nice about this music player is that it features an equalizer which we can set all on our own. Like this. Of course, it also has a number of presets. The Samsung Galaxy Nexus is a great device for video consumption. Not only does it play various file types like and codecs like DivX, XVID, H.264 and so on, but its giant 4.65-inch screen and the Super AMOLED technology, which allows for these great contrast levels and very nicely saturated colors. All of this makes for a great experience when watching video with this handset. Call quality with the Samsung Galaxy Nexus is pretty decent. On our end, voices were loud enough, and they also sounded somewhat natural and not too robotic. On the other end of the line, however, people said that we sound very loud and clear, but because of the noise cancellation feature of the handset, especially when you're at a loud environment with lots of ambient noise, your voice won't be really very clear and natural to your colors. Make no mistake, the Samsung Galaxy Nexus is one of the best phones ever created. And this is so because it has a number of assets which allows it to trump most of its competition. First, it is very fast. This phone is incredibly responsive, scrolling lists, spanning pages, opening applications and closing them. This handset just flies, and it seems like there's nothing that can stop it. But what is even more important is its software. The ice cream sandwich platform, we would actually say that it is a revolution as far as mobile platforms on phones go, because it is an evolution when you place it next to Honeycomb, but we assure you that this is nothing like gingerbread and nothing like Honeycomb. The ice cream sandwich experience on a cell phone is very productive, very responsive, and very appealing. It is still a futuristic kind of operating system, but it's not as scary as Honeycomb. It's now much more approachable and more open to the regular customer. Now, if we have to concentrate on the weak sides of the handset, we should mention the 5 megapixel camera, which is good for, actually pretty good for outdoor photography, but when you move indoors or when you're recording video, your results will be rather mediocre. The other drawback of the handset is with regards to its design, and it's not that it is bad, it's actually a pretty good looking handset, but we'd really love to see an ice cream sandwich handset with a more standout, with a more eye-catching appearance and not such a neutral color scheme. In addition, as we said, the build quality does not utilize the most premium materials out there. At the end of the day, the Samsung Galaxy Nexus is probably the best Android smartphone ever made. But if you're looking for alternatives, we would recommend that you take a look at the Motorola Droid Razr and HTC Resound for Verizon, as well as the iPhone 4S if you're ready to switch the operating system. This was Ray with PhoneArena. For more details, check us out at PhoneArena.com.